What up, though? Between my mother and me. You see, I'm a product of a teenage love affair. My father was 17, my mother was 15. And if it was left up to my grandmother, I would have been an aborted baby. But my mother was so determined. She had so much grit that she changed my grandmother's mind. And changing my grandmother's mind, that she had one request. Can we name that boy Hope? Hope like hell he don't turn out like his daddy. Between my mother and me, I would see gender violence firsthand from the men that she dated, from the society that stigmatized her, that abused her. So by the age of 24, she would have 3 children by 2 other men, as if it was her fault that she was raising the children by herself. You see, between my mother and me, I would get kicked out of school as early as in kindergarten for fighting, for being disruptive, for being labeled, as they say, a troubled youth. But no one ever asked me, no one ever came and engaged me. More importantly, no one ever came and tried to fill the blanks in my mother's life to be able to provide the other extra things that we all may need. You see, between my mother and me, by the age of 13, I would co-found a gang in the city of Detroit, not even knowing what that's the hell I did. I'm just hanging with my homeboys. We gang banging and trying to protect ourselves. And years later, when I look back and say, damn, we actually co-founded a gang. You see, between my mother and me, by the age of 15, she made me a ward of the state. Not because she believed in the system, because she had no one backing her. There was no one there that she can go knock on their door and say, can you help me save my son from possibly dying, or facing a life sentence? I only can imagine, as a mother, wrestling with that decision, the pain that she went through every night. Because when the phone rang and I wasn't there, wondering, would that be the call? Can you come and identify this body? Or can you come and he's down at the precinct? You see, between my mother and me, no matter what I've ever been through, she was always there. Always in my corner, whether right or wrong. You know, when we shot up the church right up on the boulevard, I didn't do it, but I was there. And I remember them giving us a bond, and my mother bailed me out. And the next day they snatched the bond and raised it. She was still there, still fighting, still protect, because that's what a mother does. You see, between my mother and me, when I began more deeply in the streets and I was running with hyenas, here's this lion that's coming out in these streets, coming out in these alleys, fighting these hyenas who trying to take advantage of her son because he's looking for something that he don't understand is deeper than what he can realize. Between my mother and me. When I went to Maxi training school and we had a chance to sit down and I tell her I'm sorry for all the hurt that I caused you. And she tell me I'm sorry for whatever I caused you. The opportunity to talk and bond and see the worth of each other, despite the pain, despite the oppression, despite the trauma. Between my mother and me, I would go to prison for a crime I didn't do, and it broke her heart. It broke her heart because she knew I wasn't an angel, but I didn't do that. And she saw her mother, and she saw her father, the remembrance of what racism does to Black bodies. And to see it now, and more importantly, to see it through the lens of a Black person, or by the hands of another Black person. You see, the officer on the case that told my mother years ago, I'm gonna take pride in sending your son to prison. You see, between my mother and me in prison, I would meet my father. But I know it went something like this prior to me going in, prior to me meeting my father, that my mother had a conversation with God. And that conversation she had with God was, I need you to put your hands on my boy. I need you to protect him. Again, my mother is so thorough. I'm pretty sure it went something like this, that she showed up in my father's dream and told him, Negro, you ain't done your part, but you gonna do it now. You better show up now, because now I'm gonna hunt your ass every day of your life. I believe it went something like that. And having the opportunity to meet him made me love my mother more, made me appreciate my mother more. To the point when it was time to see the parole board and they kept giving me flops. And anybody here in this room know what that experience feels like, right? And you telling your mother, you telling your father, you telling your hey, maybe next year. All right, I ain't do nothing. Maybe next year. And your mother's saying, what? Why? Why? And at that moment, after that third flop, I can't lose hope. Because my mother's losing hope. Not in me, because again, this is what the system does. It tears the family apart. It breaks us down. But I remain hopeful because my mother remained hopeful for me when I didn't know what hope was. So at the end of my journey in that system, I walked out with exhibiting what Black transformation is. See, many of us get an opportunity to break our parents' heart, to take them through hell, but we don't get a chance to show them what heaven is. And I was fortunate and I was blessed for 21 years to show my mother what heaven is. Show my mother that I loved her, that she saw her son on the other side. That when I left, that she didn't have to worry like, but someone was going to kill my son. That is the greatest joy as a child that I can experience. And I appreciate it. See, between my mother and me, I am who I am because of my mother. They say I'm a success story, but I'm successful because Ava Joe is successful of breaking the shackles of being oppressed as a Black woman, being oppressed as a Black mother, being oppressed because of patriarchal society that undermined her, that gave me the courage to fight up and live as a revolutionary between my mother and I. Thank you.